who else? I don't know. There's so many. I literally there's only one venue I don't mess with.
You don't have to tell us what the venue is, but tell us why. What is a venue red flag that would make you not want to work?
Okay. So from a planning perspective, this is again, there's only one for a reason. It's super rare this happens. But when the team on the ground at a venue is extremely problematic as far as trying to make things go wrong, being rude to our vendors, our employees, things like that, it's an absolute no from me. So like
what? Over email or just creating extra red tape?
Everything. Everything's a no. Everything is the problem. Everything is in our inboxes as an issue. It's almost like they don't want the couple to be happy, which is it's nothing I've ever experienced in this industry. Most people are like, we'll make it work. We want them to be happy. It's their day, things like that. And it's never over anything excessive or anything like that. So it's just I'm why are we offering weddings at this venue if it feels like you guys don't like doing them?
They basically are not accommodating, but do they do a lot of weddings?
They do.
So it's like a bait and
it's a little weird.
Bait and switch situation.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
What are the reviews like online?
So I never let the couples know. We shield the couples from this kind of drama. And so I don't really ever talk poorly to couples about the venues that they're paying tons of money to be at. So I don't think from our couples, I've never seen anything because they have no idea.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm respectful. I'm not,
But don't you feel like the review situation could potentially prevent future couples from...
I mean, we've completely stopped throwing it into the mix for people. And if they ask, if somebody comes up to me out the street and they mention this venue and they're like, what do we do? I would be like, look, to be honest, wouldn't recommend. And I would kind of tell them why. But sometimes it's a situation where people have their heart set and they've locked it in again before they locked in the planner. Mm-hmm. We're going to make it work.
The planners just have the inside information on how they behave behind closed doors and what it's actually like to do an event there.
Yeah. They're friendly to the clients, which is,
well, that's good at least.
Yeah. That's what they want. That's what they see. It's just us behind the scenes that see all that stuff where we're like, why are we not working as a team?
So I'm curious then, what do you think as a planner about online reviews? Do you trust them when you're looking at a vendor that you've never worked with and you go and see, oh, they have 5 stars or they have 3 stars? Does that have any merit for you?
No. I've never looked at anyone's reviews. If somebody's I really want to work with this person and I've never heard of them or never worked with them, I take reviews with the biggest grain of salt because I personally vet any vendor I don't know and I can tell in 2 seconds if they're good or bad. Because
just
reviews are
How do you know if they're good or not?
You could get your friend to review you. You know what I mean? I've seen reviews before for companies that I'm like, how do we have good reviews? How they're a mess. You know what I mean? It's weird to me, but also I think sometimes people are going to bitch. Some people are just born like that. Mm-hmm. So I take them with a huge grain of salt. You could look at a hotel, right? If you're thinking of going on vacation, it has 90 5-star reviews. And then there's that one person that's like, the towels were rough, 2 stars. And you're like, what is this? I just don't put that much merit on them. I mean, we have good reviews. We're great. But you know what I mean? Anybody could post anything. Somebody could say we're terrible when their day went off without a hitch because it rained the day of their wedding or something stupid. You never know. So I'm also this is the problem in the industry, and I think every single vendor will agree with me. Sometimes we end up bending over backwards to do things we shouldn't have to do because we're so afraid of the bad review. Because it is a little detrimental to our business, right? And I think sometimes people really abuse you with that. And I've had a client say that to me before, if you don't do this, we're going to tell all our friends or we're going to do, and I'm like, what?
Wow.
Oh yeah, girl. I have 15 years in the industry. I've seen and heard it all.
So it's almost like you should review the couple afterwards.
No, you should though. It should be like Uber.
Yeah.
It should be like Uber where we're all reviewing each other. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, honey.
Because then you can figure out if who's the problem here.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So that's actually a genius idea. Double-sided reviews, yes. And then you have to see what the couple's aggregate score is.
Yeah.
So, hey,
all the vendors.
They're at like a 3 out of 10. So that's the weight of their reviews on others.
Yeah. It's like the restaurant reviews, right? Like sometimes the customer is not always right. Some people are psychotic. So like all of our couples are usually like the coolest people ever. But sometimes they become a little crazy. And they become a little, you never know what you're signing up for.
Speaking of Uber reviews, I was horrified to find out I was a 4.3.
Oh my God.
It's really bad, right? And I was like freaking out. I'm like, how did this happen? I'm not rude. I'm not getting an Uber as drunk. Yeah. And then I found out that it's rude to take phone calls in an Uber.
Oh my God, I do that all the time.
I would be doing business calls in the back of Ubers all the time, especially when I was in LA, which is you're in your car or in an Uber for basically 4 hours while I'm there going from meeting to meeting. And I would be in the back on a computer with my, on a Zoom call. And I guess I talk really loud. This is according to my fiance. It's been confirmed.
He's like, I can confirm.
And I scored really low. And I found out because I was talking to an Uber and he was like, yeah, you're really nice for a 4 point whatever it was. And I was like, what? I was like, what does that mean? And then he revealed to me. He's like, God. Yeah, you have he said that I had like 3 like really low ones. And I was like, well, what happened? And he said, that's usually one of the main things that you get rated low on. So anyways, pro tip, do not take multiple Zoom calls in the back of an Uber. They don't like it.
Oh my God. I've done that. Oh my God, that explains. Because I have like a 4.6.
That's people get like triggered when they're under like 4.9. That means you're rude.
I do a lot of phone calls. I was wondering about that because I'm like, I always like tip. I'm like so respectful. I say thank you. Like, oh my God, mind blown right now. Okay, so I have to like sit there and just stare out the window like a dog?
I don't know what you're supposed to do, but unless you have to say, hey, I have to take a business call. Is that okay with you? I'm going to be. So now that's what I do. And I feel like my rating has now gone up. I don't know what it is right now. I have to check my score.
I think, you know what? I've been conditioned by the New York City cab driver who is perpetually talking to somebody always.
Yes.
And I've just never thought it was rude because I'm like, well, they're doing it. And I've had Uber drivers do that too.
Yeah. So we digress.
I know.
So I want to go back a little bit just to you and starting your business. So you've been in the industry for 14 years.
Yeah. Well, 15. I started the company after a year.
Okay. Okay. So
I got really antsy.
So 15 years in the game. When you were first starting out, right? I imagine taking a multitude of events to where you are now. How has your business changed and how have the couples that you've worked with changed?
Oh my God, it was a struggle because I was so young and I started the company like, I feel like it was 100 years ago. I mean, there was no legal Zoom. Like I had to literally get a lawyer and do the articles of incorporation with a pencil. Like, I mean, it was geriatric millennial vibes. But yeah, no, I mean, when I first started, I was so young and I just thought because I was doing events for a charity and I was killing it that I was going to just fall into it. And it was going to be the easiest thing ever. And it was a struggle. Like I was almost homeless. Like getting clients was like super difficult. I had to hound people on LinkedIn. I mean, it was just a rough time.
Corporate clients.
Yeah. I was like taking meetings with everyone. Some people were wasting my time immensely. Like it was just a wild ride. I was like, maybe I'm going to be homeless. Like I had to waitress at a restaurant for a few months. I mean, it was just rough. So it took me like a few years to get going. But there was a time when it was just like eating peanut M&Ms for dinner because it had a little bit of protein and that's all I could afford.
Wow.
So it's definitely crazy to see how it is now.
What changed?
I got a few corporate clients. I just got extremely lucky with how persistent I was that were like just life-changing clients. And then it just kind of kicked off into like, they were just doing continuous events and then they would introduce me to people. And it just came from that, like just having good relationships. And then the wedding side, it's so crazy because it just kicked off. And like, honestly, the biggest blessing with that part was COVID. Which is so funny because that's when some people bit the dust. So like COVID really catapulted us in the wedding industry, which is so weird.
So during COVID, people were, when they were doing the micro weddings or post-COVID?
During COVID, we were thriving. And then after COVID, we started getting like notoriety for it. Like we got published. We started getting like vendors were like, oh my God, you've got to check this person out. Because, like I kick it with the vendors and everyone in this industry is so small. We're all kind of friends. So people are just like, check out Alyssa. She's kind of a vibe. Like she's fun.
How would you describe your vibe?
I just I'm a Gemini, so I just call it like it is.
I was going to ask you your sign, but some people aren't into that. But that's helpful context.
Yeah, I know. We're hated, but sometimes beloved. No, I just call it like it is. So I think there's a special breed of person that really loves that. And most vendors absolutely adore that. And couples too, when it's like, look at our Pinterest. And I'm like, can we not do that arch though? It's a little basic. They're like, thank you. So that's my style. I'm just kind of to the point. Like when we get on a Zoom, it's like, how was your weekend? Anyways, we're going to jump in.
You're like, let's get down to business.
Let's get down to business. People really appreciate it because everyone is a busy professional. So they love it.
So it all makes sense now. And you were saying creative and planner. Gemini is the twin. You have both sides.
Yeah. I am such a Gemini. And you know what's so funny? Most of my couples are Geminis.
Oh, interesting. So they appreciate it.
Yeah. It's really funny when I find out people's signs. Like my birthday was a few weeks ago and so were 7 of my grooms. I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense.
Oh, wow.
Why I get you.
Do you have a specific design aesthetic that you stick to or...
No. I want to just always be different. I don't really love to recreate the same wedding twice. Obviously, it's really hard in this industry because people will, message you and be like, which wedding best encompasses your personal taste and design? And it's like, none. I'm executing other people's, visions. So there's a point where it's not my day. So whatever you want, we're going to do, I'm going to advise you best I can. And sometimes people are like, I hear you, but we're going to do this. So my personal style is funky, fresh, and unique. I just want anything that hasn't been done. Love color. I love Sophia Richie, but boring. Boring. Over the top and pretty. It was very classic. I feel like some people are going to regret how neutral they went with time.
Well, I do think right now neutral is having a big moment. And I hate saying the word moment because I feel like now I sound like geriatric millennial.
Geriatric millennial. What a mean term, by the way.
I know. Gosh, harsh. It's just that you see the nude, the creams, the whites, the sages, which look, beautiful color palette, but this is what always happens with trends. And I get in trouble when I say trends.
Yeah.
But when it happens all the time, for a lot of couples, that is a trend. And right now, that nude, champagne, mint, sage aesthetic, it's perpetuating a lot of weddings. And at first, I loved it because it was something new.
Yeah.
And now I'm a little bored by it.
I'm very bored by it. I'm really bored by it. And honestly, my 2024 weddings, buckle up, guys. We went weird with the color in a great way. I cannot wait. People were like, yes to all my rental weird suggestions. I'm just like, thank God, because 2023 was epically boring for me with the color palettes. And every single vendor was in agreement. Every florist was like, please, can we not do the white flowers? Because white is actually difficult. And I think a lot of people don't understand. When you do a neutral color palette, if you have bright white linens, you have to do shades of ivory and stuff because it looks crazy when it's bright white. And there's only so many flowers that are bright white. So it just gets really boring real quick and looks flat. So, but a lot of people are just going off Pinterest. They have no idea what can be done. That's why I'm we have to advise them for design because they have no idea what's possible. So
what are some crazy color combinations that you're rocking this year?
Oh, combos. I mean, we're doing blue tables with orange napkins at one wedding, which is
what?
Yeah, it's going to be so cool. Just
what
trust
kind
me.
Of orange is this?
Just trust and believe in the process. That feels a bright orange.
That feels very sports team.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. It aligns with everything that is done that day. But it also this bride was so cool because they did these white, really amazing invitations. And I was like, guys, this isn't really tying in the color palette. And they were like, no, we want everyone to think we went really boring. And then we're going to do the craziest everything else. And I was like, oh God, I love you.
When did that wedding already happen?
September.
Okay. I'm going to need to see those photos.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's going to be good. I would never do anything ugly. When people like, I'm like,
I'm not going to lie. The blue and orange sounds hideous.
Crazy. And I have a green with like peach, which also sounds crazy.
What kind of green?
It's like a muted, like this one's my favorite wedding. It's going to be like Renaissance chic. So it's like
so kind of like a, like a, not sagey, but kind of like a,
kind of like not sage, but like I can't just
that like minty.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like that
Renaissance
like
green.
Old Renaissance green. Yeah.
Okay.